Hi, friends. Hello, hello. We're going to have our live today with me, attorney Alena Shautsova, where I will be sharing with you the most recent immigration news. And of course, we're going to be discussing the elections. We're going to be discussing as to what's going on in the immigration community with regard to the elections, what's going on in the media with regard to the elections and immigration. So please join me. Let me know where you're watching from. Don't be shy. And of course, in the end, as always, I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. So, hello, hello. I hope everybody is doing great today. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you're watching from. Don't forget to say hi. If this is your first time here, welcome. Again, my name is Alena Shautsova. I regularly hold these live sessions where I'm sharing the most interesting immigration news, and I, of course, also answer your guys' questions live. Today, we're going to have discussions with regard to the immigration. We're going to talk about the elections, which are in progress, of course, what's happening in the media about this, and just answering your guys' questions. So hello, don't forget to send me your hearts. If you're watching me on TikTok, send your likes and shares when you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to start. So let's see. First thing I wanted to discuss with you is elections, of course. Elections and immigration, extremely important topic, right? Everybody's talking about this because both sides made it a huge point. They are both focusing on immigration, and interestingly enough, there are tons of news sources discussing it as well. But the key of this discussion changed. If you are following the news and following these elections, you could have noticed that the key of the immigration discussion changed a lot. Basically, a lot of progressive media, as I would call them now, saying that both Democrats and Republicans are cracking down on immigration. They're trying to walk away from the image of the Democrats as people who are for immigration, for immigrants, and they're saying that they're basically tough on immigration as well, obviously to win more votes. And it's sort of frustrating because really the voice of the Democratic campaign was very different during the previous elections, but what can we do, right? So another interesting article that came out recently concerns about this huge raid that Trump administration performed on chicken processing plant, I believe in 2019. And that article says that, look, even though Trump was tough on immigration, but guess what happened with all those people who were raided and who were like rounded up and placed in removal proceedings? They're still here. A very small amount of them was actually deported, but they're still here in the United States. Why? Because that's the way immigration laws are operating in the United States. And that's actually true. Even if you are placed in removal proceedings, unless you already had a previous order of removal previously, and that order is going to be reinstated against you, it's not so easy and fast to remove someone from the United States. Okay, it takes time. You have rights under the law. So this article, I believe by New York Times, says that Trump's big immigration raid snared them. They're still in Missouri, in Mississippi. That's what the article says. And it continues going on, explaining what happened with those people who are working on that poultry plant, and that most of them are still in the United States. Some of them filed for cancellation and removal. Some were subject to prosecutorial discretion. And as I recall this news also, what happened there is that ICE didn't have proper paperwork to raid that plant, and a lot of those people, they got protection afterwards anyway. So this is something very interesting. Again, it basically another contribution to this political campaign where they say, well, even if you are tough, super tough on immigration, it may not always work out the way you're planning on this to be. And again, another piece of news saying US campaign ends as it began, with voters focused on immigration and abortion rights. So all of this is going on. All of this is being decided today. Today is the day, right? But you know that the final results of these elections, we're going to know them in a couple of days, right? Unless one of the candidates demonstrates great numbers, overwhelming numbers. Otherwise, as previously, we had to wait for a day or two when the mail-in ballots come in and they are accounted for. So this is also very important. I previously had multiple posts with regard to what's going to happen if Trump comes, right? Because many of you, of my subscribers, of people who are viewing me, who are watching me, are waiting to see what would be the result of these elections and what is going to happen if Trump wins. I've mentioned this several times, and what I'm going to share with you is based not on my imagination, it's based on what happened previously when Trump came into the office. Number one, prosecutorial discretion may be affected. Prosecutorial discretion is a directive, an order to the prosecutors that comes from the executive branch, where they say you have authority to agree with respondents, people who are in immigration proceedings, and you have authority to close their proceedings, you have authority to open their proceedings, and some other actions to undertake in connection with one's immigration case. So it's more cooperative process for somebody who is in immigration proceedings when prosecutors are exercising prosecutorial discretion, and beneficial for most of the times for the respondents, for the immigrants. But when Trump came into the office, if you recall that, his administration rather stated that we're no longer going to negotiate. If you are subject to deportation proceedings, we will not agree to anything. You're either going to win or you're going to be deported. So that's what lack of prosecutorial discretion is, all right? Non-negotiable proceedings. Non-negotiable in terms of everybody who doesn't have status must be placed into removal proceedings, and the removal proceedings must be carried on until the end. So that's number one. First area that I believe of immigration that will be affected. Number two would concern, of course, executive actions. Presidential decrees, presidential executive orders that are also shaping immigration laws in the United States. If you recall, one of the first things that Trump did when he was in office last time, he issued travel bans for people from Muslim countries, right? He also issued certain executive orders with regard to remain in Mexico, for example, policy, things like that. So, and I remember they were focusing a lot on public charge. This time around, public charge is out of the question, I believe, because regulations were settled during the Biden administration. But executive orders in terms of remain in Mexico policy and some other executive actions that will restrict people's right for asylum will be carried on if Trump is in office. I have no doubts about that. All right. So executive actions, that's very important. We spoke about prosecutorial discretion, executive actions. Now, certain things that Trump will not be able to change concern, for example, public charge. Public charge rule was finalized, and now it's going to be very difficult to possible to bend it. However, what's happening here as well is something called discretion. The public charge rules that we have right now is pretty flexible, and it does say that certain factors have to be taken into discretion when we allow somebody, like a spouse of a US citizen, to become a green card holder. So what can happen if the administration changes is that certain factors are going to be stressed out more than others. For example, knowledge of English language will be a very important factor. Or for example, potential immigrants' ability to work, earn income may be a very important factor. So we can have the same 10 factors, for example, but place different weight on them. And that's how we can regulate who is going to become a green card holder and who will not. So that very much may happen. Other things I would not speculate about. Actually, during his campaign, Trump did mention certain positive things that he may bring, like green cards for those who received higher education in the United States, and help for entrepreneurs. And of course, we welcome all positive actions, but we're going to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen if Harris is going to be elected? You can continue probably seeing the same relaxed approach to immigration, I would say, in terms of prosecutorial discretion, right? More progressive approach. But I do not know if we will see an immigration reform, guys. Why? Because for immigration reform, we have to have certain unity between our elected officials. Now, we have to have a leader who will be able to bring that unity. And so far, it hasn't happened in decades in the United States. So honestly, I do not know if that's going to happen. But again, as we may see negative executive actions, we may see positive executive actions from her, something that she may deliver. And of course, it will be very much welcomed. And that's what I think is going on. I will not predict at all as to who's going to be our winner. I have no idea. I don't think a living soul knows at this point. If you look at various reports, they all differ. Somebody says the Democratic leader is winning. Somebody says Republican leader is winning. I do not know. I really don't. But what I can tell you is I only can share with you my thoughts as to what I think is going to happen if this or that candidate is going to be elected. So there are certain parts of immigration laws that cannot be changed. Those parts are established by the law, and there are certain parts that can be changed. So those changed, more flexible parts may very well be affected by either candidate coming to power. All right. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, apart from this election situation, is a very important decision that came out recently from a court, a federal court. Why it's important? Because it discusses something that many of you can be interested in case you are placed in removal proceedings, cancellation of removal. In this particular decision, the court upheld denial of the cancellation of removal for somebody whose child aged out by the time the judge was able to grant the application. Extremely, extremely important, guys. Okay? So cancellation of removal or 10-year green card can be given to someone who is in removal proceedings and can show that they resided in the United States for 10 years, they've been a person of good moral character, that in the United States they have a family member, qualifying relative, usually is a child who is under 21 years old, who is going to experience extreme hardship in case of immigrants' removal. Now, the child must remain under 21, not only when you file for cancellation removal, but when the judge is also considering the application. There was a case previously that says that because the court took so long to make a decision on one's application for cancellation or removal and the child aged out, the person still should have their right to get that green card, even though the child aged out. There was a case like that. And now we have another case from a different court saying that, too bad, so sad, the child aged out, you're not entitled to cancellation or removal. Your chance is lost. What does it tell you? Well, first of all, if Trump comes and mass deportation will start, many of you will be filing for this cancellation or removal. And you need to know that. If your child is aging out under 21, you will have to file those motions for the court to expedite your case, just to preserve your right to cancellation or removal and to make sure that your chance is not lost. Extremely important to know that. I know many of you are searching for information on forums and stuff like this when your immigration proceedings start. Don't go there. Go to licensed immigration lawyers and understand what is it that you're going to be filing for if you have to file for it, and why it's important to understand for yourself the immigration laws so that you can push your attorney if you see something is not going the right way, and so that you understand the risks and benefits of what you're filing for. Just met somebody, guys, who used the forums to handle their sister's immigration case, completely mishandled it, and lost that person's chance for a DV lottery because they didn't get the right information from some chat or forum as to what needed to be done in order for their family member to receive the green card. So don't be like that person, all right? Get the reliable information from reliable lawyers if you're facing some immigration things. Now I'll be answering your guys' questions, all right? And in the end, I will also talk about EB3. I know this is a very important topic for many of you, EB3 green card process. But for now, I see a lot of people ask me a lot of questions, and I will try to accommodate you guys as much as I can. Hi, Tina. Hi, Zafar. Hi, Blackwater. Hi, Dream Angel. Hi, Likelihood. Hi, James. Hello, my loyal TikTokers. Please don't forget to send the hearts. Can we reach 1,000 hearts today? Hi, etc. Hello, is it possible to put 9589 in abeyance while pursuing another pending case? Not really possible, but you can reschedule your interview if it comes, all right? Or if the government is pushing you hard to get that interview, you can ask them to withdraw, that you're withdrawing the case, if that's what you want to do. But just reschedule it, okay? Hi, Jimmy. How I can legally come to the United States from Mexico? The only two ways, guys. You either have a visa or you're going to register with the CBP1 app. That's it. That's the only ways. All right. Hi, Anita. Hello. How long can it take for USCIS to respond to ombudsman? I would say 30 to 60 days. Okay. Hi, user 310. Married. They're not going to be my paper. So you're married to somebody, but that person does not want to file for you. All right. Guys, when you marry a US citizen or a green card holder, they can, but they don't have to file for you. If your relationship otherwise is a good relationship and the person is not abusive towards you, there is nothing you can do about this. You cannot force them to file for you. But if in addition of not wanting to file for you, that person is also abusive, many different ways. The abuse does not have to be physical. It can be emotional, when they call you names, when they not like trying to humiliate you, trying to restrict your ability to communicate with your friends and family members. Abuse can be financial, when all of a sudden they don't have any money or they quit their job and they're just telling you all the time, oh, I will file for you if you're going to give me more money, or I will file for you if you're going to buy me this and that, or I will file for you, things like that, right? So if there is abuse in addition to not wanting to file, then you can file for yourself using VAWA laws, okay? Violence Against Women Act can be used by both men and women, all right? Hi, adults. Hello, filed in 400 and it was missing one letter from my first name. How to fix it? Thanks. Very easy. You can fix it different ways. Number one, you can file something called typographical error through your USCIS account inquiry. And number two, you can correct the mistake during the interview. All right? All right. Hi, user 310, they told me I have to leave and come back. How long do you think? Unfortunately, I will not know. If you were deported, depending on what happened and what was the reason for the deportation, you may be subject to 5 or 10 or sometimes 20-year bar on coming back to the United States. All right. Hi, Christopher. What does it mean if I received a message that they say duplicate notice was mailed? I have such case. It means that somebody asked for a duplicate of the approval notice, maybe your attorney. That's usually what it means. Hello, guys. Don't forget to send your hearts. Yes, Christopher, we answered that. Hi, I'm on a tourist visa and I want to apply for a work visa. All right. I do have a little video explaining what to do if you came as a tourist to the United States, but you would like to work here legally. It's not so easy, very limited circumstances. Usually, if you are on a B1, B2 tourist visa, you cannot work in the United States. Exceptions would be if you received a very special visa for a domestic servant and actually was issued to you as a domestic servant, and it's going to be B1, B2 visa. Otherwise, you will have to change your status and apply for work permit. But there are very limited circumstances when you'll be able to do that. Nationals of some countries will be able to successfully change status to E2, non-immigrant investor. And if the status is approved, the change of status, then they will also be able to work legally for the business that they are creating and they're filing for, based on the business they're filing for. Other than that, you really maybe currently have only one other chance. If you're going to be filing for EB1 petition, alien of extraordinary ability, and with that, you will be asking for adjustment of status in a work permit. All other opportunities restrict you in time, and you will not be able to basically jump from tourist visa to a work visa. Not possible. All right. Of course, some people will marry U.S. citizens, some will file for asylum, but that's usually not a work visa. It's only routes that are available to limited amount of people and routes that lead to work permit, but not directly apply a work visa. Hi follower, came with K1, marriage did not happen. 10-year waiting asylum appointment, 8-year married, difficulty, US citizen. All right, if you came on a K1, but you did not marry the person, it means you are in a very difficult situation. It's pretty much only asylum that may be available for you, or that's it. All right. K1 or fiancé visa is a very restrictive visa. You either have to marry the person and file with them for adjustment of status, or you have to leave the United States. And the only exception to this law would be the asylum route. And I believe also T visa or U visa with waivers, okay? But other than that, that's it. Now, what do you want to do if your asylum is pending for 10 years? You can file a lawsuit, you know that lawsuit, against the government, asking them to give you your interview, or you can ask first to expedite your asylum case, okay? All right. Hi, Rahit, how long does it take for deportation to terminate? It depends on the prosecutor and the judge. Usually, if the prosecutor agrees, within 30 days, you're going to get your decision. But sometimes it can get longer, all right? Hi, Tony, that you only pay $3 million to the United States government payable to the immigration naturalization. 3 million American dollars and you become a citizen and you don't need to take a citizenship test. That's a lie. That's not possible. There is no rule like that. That for $3 million you become a US citizen. No. There is an EB5 investment opportunity for somebody who would like to become a green card holder first, but it's not $3 million. If it's either 0.9 million, almost $1 million, so so it's $1.50 million, and it's going to be increasing and increasing in increments soon. So, but it's not $3 million. And you will always have to take citizenship exam unless you are exempt due to inability to learn and remember English language, okay? Sometimes you can take that exam in your own language if your age and how long you've been a green card holder allows you to do that. That's how it works. But it's a lie that just by paying $3 million, you'll be able to become a citizen. Nope. Oh, if you see that ad somewhere, please share. We're going to submit it to USCIS. Let them investigate who's spreading this lie. Hello, my filed in 400. Yes, so answer that. Do you take clients out of state? Absolutely. We work with people from all 50 states and those who are overseas. My I-45 approved. When will I receive my green card? Hi, Sephora 15. Love your name. I love Sephora store. Well, you should receive it no later than 30 days about, okay? Usually within 2 weeks you receive that. All right? Yep. Very good news. Now let me guys see if we have questions here. Hi, Elvis. Traveling on combo card this Christmas. Congratulations. I have I-45 pending. If someone had an unlawful presence in the past and have I-601A approved, does it cover that? Latest S360 timeline with your firm. All right. So if you, okay, those are like different situations here. If you are traveling on a combo card, if you received a combo card, why would you worry about I-601A? Because I-601A is for those who cannot file I-45. All right. So, all right, that's number one. You wouldn't receive advance. You wouldn't be able to file for adjustment of status if you chose I-601A route. But if you do have a combo card, unlawful presence rules and bars are not going to apply for you, all right? Because advance paroles that you receive during the adjustment of status process, there is case law saying that you will not be subjected to unlawful presence rules, okay, and bars. Now, I-360 timeline, maybe that's why you filed for adjustment of status, even though you don't have a legal entry because you are a VAWA applicant. VAWA cases usually take about 2.5 years, all right? I would say 2.5 years. Okay. Can a person file for cancellation of removal if the parents are citizens and of old age dealing with disability issues? Yes, you can use your parents as qualifying relatives, not only children, but parents and spouses as well, if they are citizens or lawful permanent residents. But remember, other qualifications for cancellation of removal must be met as well. And in the end, cancellation of removal is a discretionary relief. Means the judge has to believe you do qualify for an exception. Hi, Charu. Any updates on PIP? Today was a trial. I do not know about today's result of today's hearings, but I know that parties submitted extensive briefs explaining how PIP is not a horrible thing, right? That's what the AGs basically defending IP said. They stated that the part that sued the government, basically saying that if we give this status to people who are in the United States, it's going to undermine our economy and things like that. And they defend this, saying that it will not. And it will really not, because PIP is designed for people who've been living in the United States for 10 years paying taxes already. So just moronic situation going on. But unfortunately, I did not see any specific results for that hearing if it took place today. Hi, Hussein. Hi, in Michigan, my interview 7 months ago, but you probably didn't receive the decision yet. What interview did you have? Asylum interview or adjustment of status interview? Hi, Gabrielle. Can someone who is 60 years old migrate to the United States? Of course. The United States immigration laws do not discriminate based on age for the most part. If the person qualifies for any visa, any protection, any sponsorship, they can immigrate to the United States just like anyone else who is younger. All right. Hi, Jabbar. How are you? I'm coming 1 year later in the United States to visit to work permit, convert. All right, we discussed that same very issue for someone who is planning on visiting but already planning on converting the visitor's visa into a work permit. Yes, I understood, Alice, that I-601A was the previous situation, and then you filed for I-360. I think that you will have no issues traveling if your advance parole is approved, and that a previous I-601A approval will not affect your chances of coming back. Okay? Mm-hmm. Hi, follower. I married a different US citizen who applied for than the person who filed for K1. I-601 waiver will work in my case. Yes, it should work. That's right. You can do that. All right. If you married a different person, that should work out for you guys. Now, I promised you all to talk a little bit about EB3 route for immigration to the United States. This is a work visa, permanent work visa, if you call it this way, if you would like to move and work in the United States. So, EB3 is a category of immigrant employment visas for unskilled workers. It means pretty much for anyone who would like to work in the United States. But it also means that you must have an employer who is willing to sponsor you for this opportunity in the United States. It does not matter where you're at when they start the process, whether you are overseas or you are in the United States. There are companies that recruit people from overseas and offer the sponsorship because they cannot find people in the United States to work for them. Sometimes the companies can be well known, such as McDonald's, Amazon, all right? Of course, they're not going to be hiring you for the position of a CEO, but they're hiring you for this very regular positions as a packer, warehouse employee, somebody who works in McDonald's as a clerk, right? The process usually takes at least 2.5 to 3 years due to the backlogs. If you are in the United States and you would like to finalize this process, you will have to show that you've been in lawful non-immigrant status since the time of your arrival. For example, you've been in F1 status all the time, or you were switching between different non-immigrant statuses and you were maintaining the status, or you were on a parole, like United for Ukraine program all this time, and you were legal, or perhaps, let me think what other way it would be. Maybe there is some other way, but I'm struggling to find an exception. If you have TPS, and there are tons of people who have TPS in the United States, your situation is very easy to fix, even if you failed to maintain lawful non-immigrant status at some point, but now you have EB3 employer. How? You're going to receive travel document in connection with the TPS status, leave the United States, come back, and voila, you're going to be in legal status for adjustment of status purposes. That's how it works. But if you are in asylum pending status, in most states of the United States, you will not be considered to be in lawful status, and you will need to leave the United States and file for immigrant visa overseas to use this opportunity. That's the EB3 route, all right? However, what you need to know also that nationals of some countries, like India, will have to wait for literally decades before they can use that petition because of tremendous backlog. Going back to Trump on that, I read a couple days ago that he already is building up plans to pause immigration for people from India completely. Maybe it's a lie. I don't know. All right, because there are lots of garbage right now online. But if he does or he doesn't, we really cannot affect it. All I know is that there are acts of Congress that president cannot change, and that particular part of the law cannot be changed by will of any president. All right, that's what it is. Now let me see. All right. Now I have one question from Ruben. I will take. Let me see, Ruben. I have a question. I'm in the middle of the process of the visa, Fiancé visa K1, and she's from Russia. What are her options to take the interview? Kazakhstan? Yes, Kazakhstan, Serbia, Azerbaijan, usually are the countries where Russian nationals are going to go for that non-immigrant visa currently. All right. Let me see, guys, if we have some questions for the TikTokers. Hi, Mike. What evidence for T visa you must have? All right, T visa, visa for victims of human trafficking. I just posted update last week that we won a case. It's a heartbreaking case. Every T visa case is very difficult. Why? Because it's usually is connected with a lot of suffering. And this trafficking doesn't have to be in a form where somebody drags you through the border, brings you to the United States, and forces you to do some intimate things. That's what people usually think T visa is for. No, T visa also can be issued to somebody who is a victim of labor trafficking, and it may include act of inducing you to come to the United States, like basically lying to you about the working conditions when you file for the visa, or it may not. For example, you come to the United States on your own, but then a person in the United States, knowing that you're vulnerable because of your immigration status, is abusing you at work. How? Creating unsafe conditions, not paying you minimum wage overtime, not paying you at all, treating you horribly. In every case of a T visa, you must report your abuser. You must report. The government may or may not investigate the report, but you must report it. Okay, reporting requirement is very important. And then the rest of the story, you have to have your story written down. You have to have some proof that what you are complaining about did happen. You also have to perhaps ask witnesses to give you affidavits in support. So far, we've been very successful with those T visas. I cannot say that I have tons of them because thankfully there are not so many, that I know of, people who go through this terrible, terrible situation. But I also know that not many people know about this, and they do not understand that they can use the T visa when things like that happen to them. For example, here is an example for you. Your employer says that they're going to be sponsoring you for H-1B visa, but they ask you to work as a nanny for them instead. They do put paperwork as if you're going to be that worker with a specialized knowledge, but you're really going to be a nanny, okay? And then they start basically restricting your ability to find out as to what's really going on in your immigration process. They're using that immigration process and threaten you so you work longer hours for them and you don't quit and you don't leave them. In case like that, we got the T1 visa for the person, right? And it was always more to the story, but that's just in a nutshell. Or, for example, you came to the United States with your parents, and your parents abandoned you in the United States, placed you under the care of an uncle who's told you that now you're going to be working in their store. And you didn't go to school, you didn't have any friends, you were working for that uncle, and uncle didn't really pay you, saying that, oh, you get food and shelter, that's enough. And that's how you lived your life for 10 years in the United States. Another heartbreaking story of a person who received T1 visa. Or it can be something more commonly happening. You filed for H-2B visa. You got a loan because the agency that was handling your H-2B visa stated that, oh, it's expensive. You're going to have such a great opportunity in the United States to make so much money, but the process is expensive, like $10,000 to $20,000. So you got a loan and you still owe them some money. You come to the United States, you're supposed to work for a hotel or restaurant, and then you find out that you're going to be living in a room with 10 other people. You're going to be changing your employers all the time. You're not going to be getting the full paycheck, because everything is going to be deducted from the paycheck. And by the way, those people you still owe money to, now they threaten you, saying that whatever money is left over from your paycheck, you have to give it to us, or we're going to hurt your family at home. Very common situation for many people from the Philippines. It's heartbreaking, but you can read even online about those agencies that sign up people, charge them tens of thousands of dollars, and then endlessly threaten and exploit people. T1 visa. But again, there are other situations, many, many more examples. I don't really have enough time to go through them. But if you feel that your experiences in the United States were abusive, and the abuse can be not only labor, it can be intimate abuse as well, by even your friends, by your partner sometimes, you may still qualify for T1 visa. But remember, you'll have to report that person, okay? All right. How many months should B1, B2 visa holder wait to apply for green card after getting married? Hi, Ivan. How many months you should wait after getting married? There is no real straight answer for that. All I can tell you is that there is a rule that immigration authorities in the United States are using. It's slightly different when they're applying this rule when you're going for the visa. They're looking at your intention at the time of entry and when you changed your mind. Basically, how it happened that you changed your mind. Did you have a preconceived intent of applying for a green card and using B1, B2 visa just to enter the United States rather than filing for that immigrant visa overseas? And interestingly enough, currently, we used to have this 60, 90, 120-day rule, which is now used by the consulates, but USCIS is more flexible. They don't really have to go by 90 days saying, oh, if you file for adjustment of status after before 90 days, you will for sure be subject to determination of fraud. They don't do it anymore. They kind of look at all the circumstances together, all right? So as an immigration lawyer who is ethical, I will not be able to tell you that you have to wait for 5 months or 6 months before you file for the thing. Rather, we're going to have a conversation with you saying, hi, when did you know, when did you learn that you're going to be marrying your fiancé? Did you know that you're going to be getting married at the time when you were entering the United States on B1, B2 visa? Did you plan for this to happen? Or how did this happen, that you guys got engaged and decided to get married? So that's something that you need to understand and something to be prepared for, to explain to USCIS officers if they're going to ask you those questions, all right? But they don't use a bright line rule as to days or months to determine whether or not you committed fraud at entry when you're filing for adjustment of status. That's something you need to know. That was a change in USCIS manual, all right? But Foreign Affairs manual still uses the specific amount of days rule, unless something changed recently and I'm not aware, all right? Don't shoot me. But that's how it was about the months ago when I was checking it for one of my clients. All right, guys, if you do need to consult with me specifically, please call my office 917-885-2261 or go to my website, Shautsova.com. We do have various consultations available, various price, various lengths, in person, not in person. What do you want me to do during the consultation? You want me to review documents or just talk to you? That determines the price. So we're very, very flexible to make sure that we can accommodate you guys. If you don't want to spend, let's say, full amount per hour, $5.25 I charge per hour, and you just need less time, you're welcome to adjust your fees to your needs, all right? And now I would say I'm going to go back to watching the news, as many of you, to check what's going to happen with elections, right? And we're going to meet soon, probably Friday, to discuss the results, hopefully, and see what's going to happen next. Thank you guys very much for joining me, for following me, for subscribing to my channels. If you haven't, please do so. And I hope to see you guys soon.